Alright, guys, welcome back to Coniferia, our City Skylines series. And in this episode, the major themes are industry and residential. To be more specific, we'll actually be developing an absolutely massive area that occupies the northern part of Port Douglas dockyards. And we'll try and make like a transition from the industrial units and warehouses and train tracks, and then to some public housing projects that were built throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And yeah, like I said, the actual amount of development we end up getting done in this episode is actually kind of crazy. But I mean, I just wanted to build something, and then I started recording, and yeah, here we are. This was recorded over the span of several nights, so there might be some parts of it that jumps a little. I'll do my best during the editing process to make it as seamless as possible. But yeah, that's just a heads up, basically. But yeah, we are developing the parts of the dockyards of Port Douglas, and then just north of Port Douglas, we'll create a residential district, which will be quite high density, and primarily public housing. As we're starting out, as you guys can see on the screen, we're starting out with some industrial stuff to kind of tie into the residential neighborhoods we'll build north of here. And for the industry in this episode, we are going for quite a generic look. So think distribution centers, warehouses, some manufacturing industry as well, all in a bit of a mix. So yeah, I'll get back to you later. For now, we're just gonna kick off with this industrial stuff. With this big industrial estates being sort of finished for now, we are moving just north of here to fill out this huge area with some really dense public housing projects. This is one of the older public housing projects or low-income housing projects of the city of Port Douglas. It's some of these buildings, the groundwork started in the late 50s and then it was completed throughout the 60s. Before these were built, there used to be some really old, deprecated or dilapidated industry here, and we also had some really old row house districts, but they're simply not fit for living anymore. So this is hopefully gonna turn out to be quite an interesting area with all these red brick public housing areas nestled in between some of the infrastructure here. Because all of this was sort of built around the same time, and so we'll try to squeeze in these big public housing buildings. We'll try to squeeze them in between all this infrastructure that really dominates this area. We've got a really big elevated highway running through here, feeding into the main city, of course, into the downtown area. We've got, as you guys can see, we've got plenty of on and on ramps here, and we've also got the train bridge tying into elevated railway sections that of course leads to the central train station in downtown Port Douglas. So we've got lots of infrastructure here, lots of stuff going on, and yeah, it's always fun to try and sort of nestle in some of these developments within all this, even though it's a bit challenging because this whole area is also kind of sloped, so that adds an additional layer of complexity. But it also means that, you know, it takes a little more time, requires a little more effort, but usually the end result is also a little bit more rewarding due to the complexity of it. Once again, switching themes, back to more industrial development. This time we've got this really fun area to work with real nestled in here between the elevated highway and railway sections. This is the southeastern part of the docks. Wait a minute, no, it's actually the northwestern part of the docks. It's just me being weird. It's the northwestern parts of the dockyards of Port Douglas, and we're going for some warehouses, primarily here, some pretty generic industry. Really fun area to work with due to all the infrastructure and all the transit lines surrounding it. Oh, well, not, we got the rail line, but not much more than that. But yeah. With the industrial units being done, we continue back with our residential theme, trying to fill out this area with some more public housing. I end up opting for two towers here, and they are actually vanilla buildings. And as you guys might know, there are a few vanilla buildings that I don't really mind having throughout the region. I know that generally they are of a bit lower quality than many of the custom assets that we're using, but they do help add some extra diversity in the type of buildings being used. And I think the setup I end up going with is a decent fit. End up coloring the buildings red to make them stand out just a bit, and then just next to the buildings, the rest of the block they're placed within is occupied by a bit of a park, actually. I'm not sure how nice of a park it is when you're flanked by all this infrastructure and noise, but could be an okay place for a barbecue. Alright guys, let's grab a full recap of what we've been building in this episode. We've got quite a lot of stuff built, I feel. So I think I'm gonna call this neighborhood port side for now. If you've got a better suggestion, then let me know. I think a port side it's obviously derived from it being so adjacent to the dockyards of Port Douglas. But yeah, let's take a tour. We've got much more generic industry built here. I thought it was a little fun to do this kind of a custom container crane. Probably not the most realistic looking setup, but a lot of fun to design. Moving on, I just really enjoyed making this apartment complex, public housing stuff, kind of nestle it in between all the infrastructure that is that's present in this area. It's I mean, it's likely not the nicest place in the city. Let's be frank, but at least you've got a ton of greenery to sort of offset some of the industrial feel and some of the highway and railway noise. Yeah, the trees likely don't make up for it, and I don't expect property values to be really high here, but I really enjoyed building this area. It was a little tricky because of the different tiers, because this is of course up a hill here, and you can use keys or build your own custom keys to kind of make it look even better. But I like to kind of cover up my imperfections with just lots of bushes and trees. More public or at least low income housing in this part of port side. Really high population density here, and then for this block, I guess this is actually a block, but for this block, which is kind of separated here by the highway on and off ramps, I wanted to have like a split between some public housing and some industry, and wanted to try and show that some of the industry here is quite old and probably has run its course or will soon run its course and is then ripe for replacement with maybe some modern apartments or something like that. So yeah, I think overall it turned out really nice. This area out here, I feel really has a sort of a unique vibe as well. It's kind of nestled in between the elevated railway, the train bridge, and then the highway bridge, and it's obviously completely industrial in nature, but yeah, I really feel it turned out pretty nice. Now, before we wrap the episode up, I'm calling upon the City Council of Port Douglas for a vote, or rather I need some arguments basically, because we've got this empty lot here, and initially one developer that was very interested in it wanted to build a 6-story tall residential unit with a grocery store at the bottom level. But there's a new proposal actually by a handful of investors, and they call for a much taller structure here. They actually want to build the as of now tallest tower in Port Douglas right here. They haven't shared other details than just that basically, but their main argument is that with the recent construction of this mixed-use development over here in Pine Harbor, which we built a couple of episodes ago, they feel that Port Douglas should sort of strike back, because it's obvious that times are changing in Pine Harbor, and what used to be a very, very conservative city council when it comes to at least height and density is starting to change, and this is certainly the most obvious result of that change. And now investors native to Port Douglas feel that this is an ample opportunity for Port Douglas to really manifest itself as the capital city, and go beyond the sort of the height level that's currently in place here in the city. So let me know what you guys think. Gonna try and spend some extra time reading comments. So if you have any any cool suggestions here, then let me know. I'll also throw a vote up on the community page where you can jump over now and vote for the future of this lot. With that said, it's time to wrap up the episode and transition into some hopefully juicy cinematics. Once again, want to thank you guys for all the support, all the comments, and all the feedback, the shares, the likes, all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. Many of you might have noticed that I've not been able to spend quite as much time on creating content and interacting with the community as I used to. I have some, there are some time constraints, and I also have to really balance out the amount of time I spend on this project to avoid burnout. So that's why you'll see a little less frequency in job uploads, and I don't really have as much time to answer or react to each and every comment as I used to. It's a bit of a downer, I feel, but that's just how it is, and I'd much rather just turn my activity level down a bit to cope with this, instead of trying to ending up stressing about it. So that's just the way it is for now. Yeah, we got a ton done in this episode, so hopefully it's gonna be a good one. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.